Whether you're a seasoned cleaning contractor or just starting out, mastering the art of bidding is crucial to winning profitable contracts and growing your business. This program today will provide the key elements of what you need to do to create a winning bid and land more market share in the industry. And to get into this, I'd like to welcome two industry pros who know the ins and the outs of bidding commercial cleaning jobs. So I'm pleased to welcome two professionals from OctoClean, Matthew and Greg. I want you both to introduce yourself, tell us what you do there, and then we'll get right into our content.
All right. Well, I go by Matt. So my name's Matt Stowe, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer here at OctoClean. So I think Greg actually handles more of the operations now day to day, but sales expansion, everything regarding leadership and legal and so on, all the things that a CEO would typically do.
Yeah.
My dad has chosen to keep that title for,
For the time being.
for the time being. So yeah, but COO is what I do here, and a lot of things related to day-to-day business operations and growth.
My name's Greg Stowe. I deal with training creation, everything to do with training on our side. I'm the VP of Ops and compliance training, so I handle everything to do with that. And then, of course, anything that, Matt says, hey, that's a good idea. I am the guy that says, okay, let's figure that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is perfect for us because, yeah, like I was telling Matt, it's kind of like an art. I like it because it's like art. I figure it out.
It's called entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
You just gotta suck it up and do it.
Like
I get that.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not Matthew, it's Matt and Greg. I see on screen you have OctoClean Media. Do you have a Matt and Greg show?
We do.
Yeah,
we do.
We do. We have a
Matt and Greg show.
We have a podcast that we host. I think we do at least one or two a month, right, Moses? Yeah.
Yeah.
So one
we
or
may
two.
kind of kick that into that. We did Matt and I just kind of talking about like our day went. So we might have
Right. Yeah. So
do that a little more often.
We've been playing around with different ideas, but yeah, we do a podcast. We really, we talk about a lot of janitorial business related things. I mean, primarily that's what we do. But because we're brothers and friends, we tend to get into some other shenanigans as well.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling you interrupt each other quite a bit.
Never.
Never.
No.
No way.
Sometimes.
This is a test. Today will be a test. I know you have a presentation at ISSA Show North America. It's called How to Bid Commercial Cleaning Jobs Like a Pro. It's on Thursday, November 21st. So let's do a little highlight of that and talk about what those watching can learn right now and also learn more when they attend your event. Does that sound fair?
That sounds fair to me.
Yeah. And like I was telling, I was with a consulting client that we deal with, and they were talking about sales. And I did tell them, I was like, there's probably no one better on the planet than Matt when you're talking about sales. So he'd probably be the great person to ask.
That's going to be tough to follow up on. But thank you, Greg. But we'll see how that goes.
So, Greg, why are you even here?
Yeah,
I know. I ask myself that sometimes too, but
no, he's the man. He's the man.
All right.
Well, the great thing about this presentation, number one, we're honored to be accepted. I mean, yes, we submitted our presentation to ISSA, and we're hopeful that we would be selected to speak at the 2024 show in Las Vegas, and they did choose us. So Thursday, here's what you can plan on getting. We have a presentation deck. I prefer to go through certain presentation slides, but then my hope is to open it up more to the audience and ask them what they're looking for, what questions they have, things that they're struggling with, because like Greg mentioned, I mean, we do some consulting with different company leaders in the janitorial space around the country, and no one is really looking for exactly the same thing. But there is some, I would say that the one thing that is in common is that no one really knows how to do it. And they typically are going directly at, prospects saying, what are you paying now? And that's how they set their price point. And that's not how you price jobs. There is a very specific process we're going to go through, that you have to get the detailed information, you have to get square footage of every room, every flooring surface, every restroom with how many toilets, sinks, urinals, etc. And once we have that, then there is a formula that we're going to be sharing on how you would bid jobs, utilizing a price per square foot and then an hourly, so that you can compare the two. And then understanding that there is no one size fits all. I mean, there's always going to be a situation in a building where things have to be different. Times are going to vary based on way too many factors to really list here. But I do intend on bringing those up during that presentation so that people can say, oh, that makes sense. That's why I'm not making money at this distribution facility, because I bid it on cleanable square foot, but I didn't consider that I have to walk an hour to go to the other side of the building. For that one restroom that's clear across the other side. I'm like, the customers understand that because they're also having to deal with labor in their warehouse facilities. And so they know that there is that non-productive time that comes into play. And so, but they're not going to bring that up to you, right? You have to bring it up to them. Otherwise, they're just going to take advantage of the situation. So it's being professional, understanding what it is that you're going to be measuring, and then being able to provide a document that's going to show the prospect that you know what you're talking about, so that you can't be taken advantage of. Ultimately, that's how we will price or teach people how to price jobs.
And then the correlation, like Matt was saying, and like you said, why am I here? The correlation between the training on what you're doing, and like we use ISSA cleaning times, and how much you can charge a customer. It's not fair to a customer to say, hey, well, it takes my person 4 hours to clean. Well, okay, it should only take 1 hour. Well, but my person's a little slow. They shouldn't have to pay for that aspect of that. So, the ISSA cleaning times are very helpful with us, and, testing it, training around, that data. And really that's what it is. If you're trying to cut costs, make money, improve your margins, you always need to go back and say, how fast are people cleaning? How efficient are they? Do they need more equipment? So really that's where I came in, or the cleaning process is even right. So there's many times we're very good at that part of the bidding process.
Exactly.
I would say that I would never, if I had a cleaning company, which I don't, but if I did, I would want that document, ISSA cleaning times, because without that, unless you're extremely experienced, you know everything, which no one does, but that just gives you a level playing field, gives you what you need to know. But let's do this. So your presentation sounds cool, but let's share some real tidbits, some real strategies. Okay. Tell me this. When you're dealing with cleaning companies and they're putting together their bids, what do you see that's usually missing? Where's the breakdown on that for most companies?
So I think one of the biggest issues I see with cleaning companies is that they have a standard scope of work that they never make any adjustments to, or they have a scope of work that they overly customize, right? So there's one or the other. And that seems like a little bit, so it's on the fringes. No changes at all, take it or leave it, or we're going to customize every single thing. Somewhere in the middle of that is a responsible way of communicating clear expectations with a prospect. And what I see, and I say this because salespeople who are selling cleaning contracts have to throw it over the fence to someone in Greg's position. And if it's not clearly communicated what are expected, the expectations are, then we end up having the operations side do too much or too little. And that all results in, reputation issues or profit margins going down, et cetera. So what we do is that we train all of our consulting clients, as well as any of our salespeople that we work with, that they need to be very, very specific on what it is we're going to do, and sit with clients and say, this is our standard scope of work. If we have to remove or we have to add detail into it, we actually put that into the proposal document so that they can see it, and it's line item by line item, the things that we're either going to remove or we're going to add, so that when it gets to operations, then operations is going to say, I clearly understand, I can train to that. And it's it's just something that's sustainable. So I'm a big fan of something like that people just typically fail at. Other things that I see too is that they tend to give away information too quickly.
They get very excited.
They
Just
get it.
give them everything. You want this? We do this, and we do. And I'm sure we've all experienced that. We
Oh,
come
yeah.
into buildings, and you get that sales rep. I sell ginseng products. I'm like, okay, you right here. I sell this and this and this. He's handing out. So you're like, hey, dude, I don't even know if
Yeah.
I want to buy anything yet. Calm down. We see that a lot.
A lot of that. So a lot of excitement, a lot of, jumping the gun saying, okay, well, I immediately, how much do you guys charge? And they just throw out a number without actually doing their due diligence, where the answer really should be, well, that's a great question, but I have a lot of questions for you before I can even get to that point. People just are really bad at that part of it. What I tell my salespeople is the price is the price. The data will provide that information to us. Your job as a salesperson is to navigate people through the buying process to either a yes, no, or a clear next step. And if you're not good at that, then it doesn't really matter what the price is. We're going to get the right price. But service schedules for sure. And I would say people just throwing numbers out because it's on a price list without really doing their due diligence.
Okay. Greg, do you agree with all that?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I always have an operational side because it's pretty much all my life. I've done sales with Matt for a long time, but I really realized that scope of work, if you get a scope of work to a cleaner, it usually blows their mind, right? So operationally, I think we're a lot of sales people, not really sales people, but organizations that are in sales fail is they have a great sales rep, but that product is not perfected. There's nothing behind making sure that product is reliable. I mean, you probably wouldn't go buy a Honda if it always broke down, no matter what their marketing's like and how good that is.
Yeah.
But I think in the janitorial industry, there is a lot of that. Like, hey, the sales rep is amazing, but our product, there's no training behind it. So if I get someone that here's a scope of work and I hand them a paper and the best part is, stapling it up in the janitor's closet. Okay, here's a scope of work. Follow that. It's
gotta love that.
It's not sustainable.
Okay.
So. And really, that's what I look at is, you got to have that product first before you go out there and start to sell things. And then finding out what your customer really wants. What is the customer struggling with?
Yeah.
And it's okay to be like, I can't fix that problem because really that's not what I do here. And being able to walk away and say, you know what, that's fine. We just want to fit. And then it's amicable and there's not an issue.
That makes sense. Let me ask this. So a bid or a request for proposal, documents, details, pricing. What can a company do to make that, to brand that to themselves, to show their professionalism, their unique proposition factor, all the cliches that need to go into this to stand out as the one?
So I'm going to keep this really simple because that's what they should be doing. I really despise seeing proposals that are sent out to prospects that are multi-page bound documents with a dissertation on all of the services and the differences they have, the differentiation between them and their competitors, et cetera. That is unnecessary. There's a reason why we have websites. There's reasons why we have social media. There's reasons that we have YouTube videos. Those are the things that are going to sizzle in a sales call that we don't need to discuss. Our job when we present proposals to clients is to give them data and to give them data that they can then give to the remaining decision makers. Because we as contractors tend to sell to influencers or a group of influencers that have to go to other decision makers. And so the brand needs to be clean, it needs to be simple, it needs to be well documented so that the person that you're giving it to that loves you can go to their boss and say, they may be 25% more than everybody else, but let me show you why. Instead of just saying, I just get a good feeling. And so the branding isn't going to be, hey, boss, here's all of this information and it has 15 pages about why they're so great. that boss is never going to look at that information. Instead, the person who's distributing that to that person has to be able to, like, and that's really our job as
Yeah.
salespeople, is to give the documents to that person and say, this is how you're going to discuss this with your boss. And so the documents, the branding, all of the things, clean, simple, but detailed information, easy to transfer to someone else. And so for us, it's one proposal sheet, a scope of work in a folder at most, because most people don't want to meet, face to face. Most of the time, we're sending those documents via email, along with a link-heavy email that will direct them to specific solutions that they have that they've said they had pain with, so that I'm not selling that data or that information to them, saying these are all the great things we do. I'm going to say this is what you said the problems were. Here's your proposal and the scope of work. And then here are some links that you can go to determine, that will give you the solutions. And guess what? You can give those solutions to your boss and they can watch a video. And it's simple. Instead of giving them 25 pages of garbage.
That was going to be one of my questions. How do you deliver this? Because you could print it out, you could send it digitally. So
it really depends on
the customer.
it depends on the customer. I mean, but since COVID, so I would say 99% now is by email, and we've had to pivot, and I think we've done a good job at that using,
technology,
video marketing, and going from phone call conversations, Zoom calls, describing what the proposal is, to an email that's link heavy. I mean, we had to do it in COVID and we did it really well. And I think now the world wants it that way. So that's how we do it now.
okay. One more question, then we'll wrap it up. We talked about building the bid, what it needs to have, how to present it, how to send it, all those things. What about post-bid follow-up? What are some strategies to follow up without being pushy and to where you just get shut out of the
I think that
process?
starts, I think that
Go ahead.
starts when you walk in. You set that agreement on how you're going to communicate, if you can be a fit, if you can ask the questions. There's a whole strategy to go with that. And, at the end of a meeting, if we're not a fit, you can let me know. And if not, so you have three things: yes, no, clear next step. Your clear next step could be, hey, when can I follow up with you? You don't just leave and be like, oh, guess what? I'm going to call them in a month, or I'm going to call them every single day and text message them. And it's like, no, how would you like this to be?
It's really what it is. And Greg makes a great point. It's what we call upfront contracting, right? I mean, we're not going to get into a conversation with someone unless we know what's going to happen to us. So if I get into my presentation meeting with them, whether that be by Zoom or on a phone call, and then subsequently send the proposal to them with all the documents and supporting documents and links and so on, I'm going to ask them, you're going to review this. We're reviewing the pricing now. Here are the solutions to your problems. Have we done that 100%? Yes. Okay. I mean, our budget is X. Now what? And they're going to say, well, you're too much money. Okay, then we're not a fit. So should we say no? And they're like, no, we're not going to say no. I think when it comes to follow up, and we all know, right, in sales, if you don't follow up, you're not going to get anywhere.
Exactly.
And so our follow up is very professional and respectful. And to Greg's point, it is, what do you want me to do now? Is a question I tell my salespeople to ask all the time. And if they say, well, I need to take it to this person and this person and this person, and I'm going to do that by Thursday, great. Then I'll give you a call on Thursday afternoon. Is that reasonable? Yes. Okay, great. If I don't hear from you by Thursday afternoon, when I call you back, what do you want me to do, or what do you want me to think? And if they say, well, I want you to think that I'm busy and that you need to keep calling me, or I want you to think that we've chosen somebody else and that we're not a fit. Okay, great. But these are things that the discipline and that what we call control and close is so important in sales, is that I'm not going to get stuck in voicemail jail. If somebody says that they're going to say like, oh yeah, I'm going to call you back on Thursday, and they don't, then I'm going to say, well, hey, look, you said Thursday and you didn't call me on Thursday. So
I assume that you went with someone else.
I assume this, and that if that's not the case, then I'll hear from you. If not, I'm going to close the file. So and I think that's the issue that salespeople have, Jeff, is that people walk in, they walk into sales calls on their knees begging, right? Instead of walking in on their 2 feet, proud of what it is that they sell and knowing that they're there to provide partnership and value. And if they can't figure that out, then they shouldn't be in sales.